In this video, we're going to look at a range of features for working with Power BI reports. We're going to start by coming to our map visual, and at the top right hand corner, if you hover over the little icon called focus mode, when we click on it, it actually brings that visual into focus so we can concentrate on the detail. To come out of focus mode, you can either click the back to report button or press the escape button on your keyboard. Similar to focus mode, if you click the little ellipsis, the three dots top right hand corner, you have the option to show as table. And this looks very similar to focus mode, but it also gives you a table with the actual values represented in the graphic. So a great way of drilling down and seeing the detail. And again, we can just press escape to come out. If you want to actually stay on the report page but focus on an individual visual, another option we have is to come to ellipsis and click spotlight, and that will white out everything other than that visual. And then again, just escape to come back. Now we're going to come back to focus mode again. And some of you may have already noticed that a piece of France has ended up in Africa, and a piece of Canada seems to have wandered off as well. Now that's because we are working with state, and while it has recognized it as being geographical data, there's some ambiguity about where that state is. So we're going to look at options for fixing this. The first option, which is worth trying, is categorizing the data. Let's see how that works. So we're going to come to our customer table on the right-hand side, and we're going to select the state field. When you do, it opens up your column tools panel, and you'll see the state at the moment is uncategorized. I'm going to click the drop down, and I'm going to categorize it as county. And when I select it, you'll see it has fixed the problem with France, but we seem to have created more of a problem in the Americas. So with our data, it hasn't worked perfectly. Another option is to remove the ambiguity by creating a calculated column that has country and state in it. And that's what we're going to do next. Now, we've actually seen two ways of creating a calculated column. We can do it in our data model using DAX, or we can do it in the query editor using our M language. And at this point, you're probably wondering which is best. Well, the answer is, it depends. But let me try and explain it as simply as possible. DAX is a data analysis language. So if you're creating a calculated column to work out your sales to date, for example, you're probably better off doing it in DAX. M, which is our Power Query language, is a transformational language. It's ideal for making data transformations like concatenations, which is what we're trying to do here. So for this scenario, we're better off doing it in Power Query, and it gives us an opportunity to see how we can get into our query editor in Power BI. So we're going to come to our Home ribbon, and you're going to look for the Transform Data button, and I'm going to click the top half, and that is going to bring me back to my Power Query editor. Now, making sure you've got the customer table selected, we're going to add a column. So select Add Column in your ribbon, and we're going to add a custom column. We're going to call our new column Region, and then clicking in the box where our formula goes, we are going to start by grabbing Country. So if you can just double select Country from the available columns, and then we're going to concatenate. So for this, we're going to need our ampersand, and we're going to want to put a comma, but this is text, so open your double quotes, type a comma and a space just to make it more readable. And then on the other side of your double quotes, we're going to need another ampersand, and then we're going to double click on state. We're now going to click OK, and our calculated column with country and state has been added. We're done in the query editor, so coming back to our Home ribbon, we're going to click Close and Apply. We'll give it a moment to apply the changes. And now we're going to replace state with region. So in your visualizations panel, we're going to remove state, and instead we're going to select region. Problem is fixed. We can now go back to our report. So clicking back to report, let's now tackle a different problem. Our area chart is showing us our revenue by year, but we'd like a slightly more fine breakdown by month within year. And the best way to do this in Power BI is to use a hierarchy. We did see how to create hierarchies in Power Pivot last week. What we're going to see now is it's even easier in Power BI. So coming to our calendar table now, we're going to just expand that. And what we would like is a hierarchy with fiscal year, fiscal month, and day. I'm going to find fiscal month, and if needs be, make this a little wider so you can check it's month and not month number. And I'm going to grab fiscal month, click, drag, and just drop it onto fiscal year. And whenever you drop one field onto another, it creates a hierarchy for you. So really easy. Let's do the same with day. So I'm just going to find day, click, drag, and drop that onto my hierarchy this time. And there's my hierarchy, really easy. If you want to rename it, just click the ellipsis or right click and you can rename. And I'm going to call my new hierarchy fiscal date and press enter. Now clicking on the area chart, what we're going to do is remove fiscal year and replace it with our fiscal date hierarchy. To begin with, the chart looks identical, but you'll notice some new icons have appeared at the top of the chart, and the one we're looking for is expand all down one level in the hierarchy. And when we click on that, we can actually now see revenue by month and year. If we expand again, we're going to get by day as well, which is maybe too detailed. So to drill up, just click on your drill up arrow. And of course, you're not limited to dates with your hierarchies. You could have country data, whatever it is you need. Within the chart, it should have sorted by month and year. But if you find your sort order is not correct, if you come to ellipsis, you'll see you have the option to sort. And I could sort by revenue or fiscal year and fiscal month. So just make sure that the sort order is set correctly for your visualization. Within a matrix or a table, you have another option. You can sort by column heading. At the moment, this data is sorted by fiscal month. But if I come to total and click on the heading, it will sort descending. If I click again, it will switch it to ascending. And if I click back on fiscal month, it will sort by month. So very easy to sort in our visualizations. And of course, also very easy to filter. We've already seen one option. So for example, if I click on a category or a series, say bikes, it will filter that entire page to show me the data for bikes. To clear that filter, I can click anywhere in that visual or back on my original selection, and that will remove it. What about if I wanted to filter my donut chart to show all categories other than bikes? For that, what I'm going to need to do is go to my filters panel. So we're going to expand our filters pane, and I'm going to tuck visualizations away for a moment. And all the fields that have been added to that visual we can use to filter by, but we can also add any other fields from our field list. Coming to my category, I'm going to click the drop down and I'm going to choose select all, and then I'm going to unselect bikes. And that is now showing me all the categories other than bikes. To clear that filter, I can either click select all again, or I can click on the small eraser and that will clear the filter. So very much like a pivot table, but what makes the filters in Power BI very interesting is we also have the option to add filters for the entire page or even for the entire report. So that's all pages in the report. So a huge amount we can do with filters. And if you're wondering, we can also add slices. Let's go and do that now. So I'm going to close up the filters pane and expand the visualizations pane. And we're going to need to make a bit of space for our slicer. So I'm going to select my area chart. And then I'm just going to bring it in a little bit. So I've got some space to put my slicer. Then just click onto the canvas, come to your visualization section, and we're looking for the slicer visual. And we would like to filter by fiscal year. So in your Fields panel, can you please find fiscal year and just tick to select. I'm now going to resize that, so I'm going to move that into place. And because it is numeric data we're filtering by, it has given us the slider, but you're not limited to the slider. If you come to the top right-hand corner and click the drop-down, there are actually 5 options you can choose from, and the one we want is list. So I'm going to select list, and there's my slicer. If I now select 2018, it has filtered my entire page to show data for 2018. And the slicers work quite happily alongside other filters. So if I come down to my donut chart and select bikes, both filters have now been applied. Now it could become a little confusing trying to work out which filters have and hadn't been added. If you come to any of your visuals, you'll see the little filter icon, and when I hover over it, it's telling me all the filters that have been applied to this visual. I'm going to turn the bikes filter off again. Now, it's also quite possible that you'll want your slicer to not be connected to certain visuals. So, for example, when I filter by year, I don't actually want to change my violin plot or my matrix. We can actually choose which visuals filter other visuals. And I'm going to show you how to do that now. So let's clear the slicer from fiscal year. And then we're going to come to our format ribbon, and we're going to edit interactions. So I'm going to click edit interactions, and 2 icons have appeared at the top of all my other visuals, giving me the option to either filter or not filter. I'm going to come to my violin plot and select no filter, and the same with my matrix. And then I'm going to turn off edit interactions. And now if I come down and select 2018, everything's filtered except for my violin plot and my matrix. By default, slicers only work on the current page, but we do have the option to create synchronized slices across different pages in the report. To do this, we're going to come to our View tab on our ribbon, and on the far right, we're going to turn on our Sync Slices pane. So just click on that button, and a new panel's been opened up. This will show all the pages in the report, and if we choose to synchronize the slicer, it will actually synchronize the slices across the 2. Now, it does actually add the slicer, but you can choose whether you want it to be visible or not. I do want it to be visible, so I'm going to tick that, and I'm going to tick Sales Report as well, so it synchronizes both ways. I'm going to close my Sync Slices panel now, and if you come to Sales Trends, you'll see a slicer has been added, and it has filtered the report. If I flick this over to 2019, that changes it on Sales Trends, and it changes it on the Sales Report. So that's how we can create synchronized slices. One last little thing we're going to look at. Can I ask you to click on your area chart again? And coming to your visualizations panel, we've looked at the first button, which is Fields. We've looked at the formatting tools. But there's one more button called Analytics, which we haven't had a look at. So we're going to take a quick peek at that. So clicking on Analytics, there are a few options we can add here. And what we'd like is an average line. So I'm going to click the drop down, and I'm going to click Add. And it has now added an average line to our area chart, so we can see where our revenue was above or below average. We have seen quite a range of tools now, including slices, filters, hierarchies, and analytics that will help us work more effectively with our Power BI reports. It has been quite a quick overview, but now that you know where all these tools are, you can take some time to investigate them further.